Hey, Kamoy Benjamin here. Peak Performance Secret starts now. Hello and welcome. There is more for you. And if you manifest your brilliance, you and I, we can go for more. Whatever more represents, whether more income, more impact, more clarity, more awareness, more decisiveness. Hey, whatever more represents. And I, as a peak performance coach, I'm in service of whatever more represents for you. This peak performance lunch and learn is intended to ignite the awareness, the insights, ahas, the wisdom that is required for you to navigate your peak performance journey and create more. My name is Kamoy Benjamin, and in today's session, I want us to talk about this question. Is it capacity or capability? The big question is, why don't you thrive in chaos? Why is it that you don't thrive in chaos? Now, none of us is going to be electing for chaos. Like, hey, I want to go into the chaotic world. None of us is choosing that. The world is changing at a very fast rate, and we're just finding ourselves in a spin, in chaos, as we may refer to it. What is it that makes those people who don't thrive in chaos? Why is it that they struggle? Why is it that they find themselves, spun around by the wind of change and the events that are happening? And how can you be the person who thrives in chaos? This week we've been talking about thriving. I love talking about thriving. I believe that it is our God-given right, birthright to thrive, to have dominion over situations, circumstances, and places. And we talked about thriving in the last 3 days, as this week's theme has been about thriving. And today, I want us to unpack this question. Why is it that you don't thrive in chaos? Why do you find that, the world seems to be ahead of you in certain ways? That, the speed of change and the complexity that comes with that, seems to be something that you're always catching up with. Whatever is happening in the world for you seems like you're just running, you're going up this flight of stairs, and you probably at some point need to take a break and catch your breath, and the world is moving too fast and you feel like it's getting too complex. When you wake up between your waking hours and the end of your day, you just come slumped into your chair and you feel like, I cannot do this all over again tomorrow. And yet there are some people in the same space who are calm, who are with it. Yes, things are happening, but they're in control. They're in charge. Their emotions are not, triggered in the process. We can manage, ability over them. What is it that makes them do that? I want to talk to you about that. But let's quickly look at, what we mean really by chaos. Chaos for me represents kind of walking into this thread storm, this unknown, where there's a lot of stuff that's happening. But what really is the definition that we're going to use today for our session? Chaos is a state of disorder. It's a state of disorder. It's a state of confusion. It's a state of unpredictability, either in a system or in a situation. And I want you to pay attention to these words carefully, because though chaos is happening, chaos ought not to stop you from thriving. I'll say that again. Though chaos is happening, it should not be the reason for why you're not thriving. I've said this in another session, that whenever you use the word because, there is chaos, what you're actually doing in that particular moment is you're attributing more power to the chaos than your ability to navigate it. And you're making it the cause. It is the cause for you to become the way you are. And guess what? I know there is more for you: power, intellect, and you've been given ability to dominate over all situations and circumstances. That's your God-given right. I believe that for you. I believe that for myself. And so whenever I see situations kind of wanting to dominate over me, and my desires and the life that I'm living is less than what I know is possible for me, I kick into this place of knowing, wait a minute, I'm in charge here. It's not the chaos. Though the chaos happens in the world, it's not in charge. Again, chaos is often associated with a lack of order or control, where events or elements appear to be random and without a discernible pattern. This is very important because recently the world has come into this conversation of complexity, and you probably have heard it as a leader: complexity all over the place. Think about gears moving. And what is complexity? I love this definition by the Santa Fe Institute that says that complexity is what arises. Complexity is what arises. And so if you can catch it before it arises, and that's what we want to talk about today, so that how do I thrive even in complexity? Though the question is why you don't, I want to give you the answer for how to thrive in complexity, in chaos. And so complexity is what arises in any system in which many agents interact and adapt to one another and their environments. And what happens? They create unpredictable consequences. I love this more. Look at this. They create feedback loops that evade easy analysis. It's this butterfly effect that you've had, that when a butterfly flaps its wings, just imagine how gentle that is, that when a butterfly flaps its wings, that ripple effect of flapping its wings is felt on the other side of the world. And when this ripple effect knocks on this one, which knocks on this one, and this one, and this one, and this one, it's like a domino effect. And right at the end, where the whole thing comes to fall, you cannot even unpack it to say, how did this happen? You mean this was caused by the flapping of a butterfly's wings? I don't get it. And so that's what complexity is. And it arises in any system where there are so many agents that are interacting. And as they interact, that interaction creates an adaptability and that feedback loop that evades analysis. Like, we just don't know what happened. And then when that happened, it happened on another. And then now we don't know what happened, which has now caused something else to happen. Now we don't know what happened about what happened and what will happen when that happens. That's complexity right there. So how do you thrive in that space, considering that that is the order of the world right now? It's not going to change. It's going to be more. I missed the statistics here, but I remember listening to an audio and a conversation that Paul Martinelli, my mentor, was having with me. And he said something close to this. And I've been looking for the source for this. I haven't found it. But I thought it's important to just drop it into your consciousness. And let's think about this together. He said the change that happened in 2002. I was listening to this call in 2021. He said the change that happened in 2002, the whole year, the change that happened in 2002. Where were you in 2002? Can you remember that? The change that happened in 2002, in a whole year, took 6 minutes in 2021. 6 minutes. What? The change that happened in 2002 took 6 minutes in 2021. I need to get my hands on that research, but it really blew my mind. And the thing that I want you to notice here is this, that though there is chaos, our fully resourced capacity and ability demands that we should be able to step into the chaos and decipher the feedback loops. Now, let me introduce this here. You probably shared this as well. But Albert Einstein is known for his work, and a quote that is really, really close to the conversation we're having today is that no problem, chaos, can be solved from the same level of consciousness that created it. You're asking me, Benjamin, how do I thrive in chaos? Why don't I thrive in chaos? Because you try to solve that problem from the same level of consciousness that created it. It has been said by many that insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. This is almost like the opposite of that quote, that when we see a problem and seek to solve it from the same level of consciousness that created it, we end up with the same problem. Though a lot of action has taken place, we end up with the same problem. And so his invitation for us is to evolve our consciousness. This is why you'll thrive. This is how you'll thrive. And I'll give you a quick way for us to understand that. How do you thrive? You thrive by evolving the level of consciousness. The awareness that creates a problem is not the awareness that solves the problem. And I like to say this in my mentorship journey, and that's why I offer mentorship and I do coaching. You don't need to know the answer. You need to know where to find the answer. You don't need to know the answer. No, you don't necessarily know. You don't. Do you know all the answers to your medical issues? Do you treat yourself? I bet you go to a doctor. You say, I have a headache and I feel something over here. And then when I swallow, they know the answers. You don't need to know the answers. They give you medicine, pop it, good. 3 days, you're back to your business. You don't need to know how your engine functions. You brought the car, you drive the car, you own the car. But when it breaks down, you don't know what to do. Put it side the road and wave Ask for help. You don't need to know the answer. And so even when it comes to complexity, if you notice that the problem that you're having is created by the level of consciousness that you're operating from, you need to contact and consult somebody who's operating at a higher level of awareness and consciousness to see the solutions and to see how you can change the issue. And Bob Keegan and Lisa LaHaye have this amazing quote that I love, and I want to share this with you. When we're looking at the world right now, most people would say that they're experiencing the world as being too complex. It's too complex. And when we're experiencing the world as too complex, we're not just experiencing the complexity of the world, but we're also experiencing, watch this, a mismatch between the world's complexity and our own at that moment. There's a mismatch, sorry. The world is so complex, but my complexity is not able to match the complexity of the world. And that's what chaos is. Chaos is running and leading your life. It's managing your finances. It's managing your relationship. It's managing your health. It's managing your faith relationships. You are outmatched. You are outmatched. You've got nothing on complexity. That's not your portion. And I want to encourage you to step into, there is a place where you can step into greater conscious awareness and understanding of your fully resourced state. That's why you're not thriving in complexity. The world's complexity is too much. And then what does he continue to say? There are only two logical ways to resolve this mismatch. Either reduce the world's complexity or increase our own. Now, you and I know no one has got the ability to go to the volume of the world where complexity is and say, reduce the volume. It's too loud. There's so much complexity. No one has got that ability. Where's that volume? Show me where it is. No one has the ability to turn down the volume of the war in Russia and Ukraine and how that is impacting the economic situations here in Africa where I live. No one has the ability to switch off that volume. And so what is the easier thing to do? What is the invitation? Increase our own complexity. Increase our ability to handle chaos, complexity. Increase our ability to step into the storm and thrive into the storm. If you can understand that the thing that's causing the water to hit on the boat of your life is not the water itself, but the wind that is causing the water to come up, then you switch to another place. Isn't that what the disciples were caught up in? They were in the boat. These were experienced fishermen, and they were in the middle of the sea, and there was a storm. And there they were crying, oh my goodness, this is the day we're going to die. I didn't even tell my sons good night. Oh my goodness, we're going to die. And the wind is crashing upon their sails, and they go to the master, Christ, wake up. We're dying. Are you asleep? We're dying. Complexity. We're dying. Reaching out to somebody who had the answer. But more importantly is what they were told, why are you waking me up? And I want to invite you, why are you calling God? God, help me. He's coming back to you and telling me, why are you asking me? I've resourced you. I've given you the capacity, the mental faculties to understand the situation, to understand the scenario, to not work with the water, but to work with the wind that's causing the water to almost capsize your boat. So stepping into the storm with clarity and awareness invites us to this concept that you probably heard now. This concept came up in the 1980s from the US Army College. And they were looking at the world we were going into coming from the Cold War. And they described this as four things. They described it as volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. That's the world. That's the world that, they looked at the world in the 1980s and they coined this term. A lot of us have come to hear this term in the last 3-4 years, especially when COVID came in. We're living in VUCA times. We're living in VUCA times. If you're hearing it for the very first time, welcome. It's okay if it's your first time. And so this volatility, uncertainty. So volatility is caused by all the things that are happening in the world. And that knock-on effect creates uncertainty. I don't even know what's happening right now. Like the thing that happened to the thing that happened caused something else to happen. And that happening is not known to us. All those happenings are too many. And that uncertainty creates complexity. We cannot even unpack this. And that complexity then creates ambiguity. We don't even know what to do. We don't know what it's going to be next. And that's the world we are living in. That's chaos. And so when these things are happening in the employment scenario, that's where you are. If it's in business, that's where you are. And you're seeing less money in your bank account, and you're seeing less clients, and you're seeing less relationships, and you're seeing less. Don't be a part of those people who are saying, the economy, the market. Don't let it be the cause. Be the cause for the change and the impact that you want to see. And so what's the antidote? The antidote for volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity is, and the antidote is here, it's vision. The antidote for uncertainty is understanding. Understanding what's happening. I didn't write correctly. It's understanding. The antidote for complexity is clarity. And the antidote for ambiguity is agility. To be agile. Let's shift shape and form. And this is what I'm talking about. What do you see? Even in the complexity, what do you see? Let's start from there. What do you want? What does the future look like? Hold your image is what my mentor told me. Hold your image. Yes. The economy looks like this. Yes. The prices. Yes. The business. Yes. I get it. What do you want? Not what don't you want? What do you want? What do you want? And I began to look at where I was in my finances and how much I was earning, and I said, this is what I want. This is the outcome and I want. And I held the image, and that's in the midst of the volatility. What do you see? In the midst of uncertainty, what do you need to understand? What pieces of the puzzle do you need to bring together to understand? What can you understand? Understanding. What do you know about needs to be known? What do you know? In all that unknown, what do you know? What do you know? And as far as complexity is concerned, what is the clarity that you can derive from the situation that you're going through? Understanding breeds clarity. And guess what? There's more clarity on offer than we're willing to purchase, than we are willing to stay in the situation. And again, I say, you don't need to know the answer. You need to know who knows the answer. Do you have a mentor? Do you have a coach? Do you have somebody who's listening into where you are from a heightened level of awareness and supporting you to create what you want? Do you have that person? Because if you don't, I'm here and I want you to reach out to me and let's start a conversation. Finally, agility. Look at that card. Agile. Being willing to do what you've never done in a way that you've never done it. Or being willing to do the same things but in very different ways than you've ever done them in order to create the results that you know are possible for you. Hey, if you're just joining me now, the conversation that we've been having today is, why don't you thrive in chaos? Why you don't thrive in chaos is because you're trying to solve the problems that you have from the same level of consciousness that created them. The invitation is to increase your own complexity. And how do you do that? By first noting that this is a complex world we're living in. It's a VUCA world. But what's the antidote for VUCA? Is another VUCA. And that VUCA is vision. Let me get it this white. Vision. Understanding. Clarity. And agile. That's the antidote for VUCA. And that requires that you evolve your conscious awareness and thinking. How do we do this? I do have this tool that I'm certified in that will help you begin the conversation of really understanding where you're thinking from, how you're thinking, and how that's creating the results that you have in your life. I would like to deepen this conversation with you to help you know how you can do that. Join me for a private coaching session. Head out to catalyst.ke and hold your spot right there. Catalyst.ke. I'm going to bring it up over here. Catalyst.ke for my peak performance mentorship journey. And I'll begin a conversation with you, either for mentorship or for private coaching one-on-one. I'd love to serve you in that way. Head out to catalyst.ke and hold your spot. And I would love to begin a conversation to see, how do you evolve your mind? I do not have at my command the time in this show today to walk you through all the step-by-steps. And again, it's customized for each and every one of you because we're different and unique and we handle situations differently. And so for me to serve you, join me and let's start a conversation. Head out to catalyst.ke. Is that okay? And click hold your spot and let's start a conversation right there. Glad to have shared with you some of the reasons why you don't thrive in chaos. And I'd be happy to support you to thrive. Type in the comments below. Let me know what has resonated with you. What has served you today? I'd love to hear from you. Thank you so much for your time. Blessings. Be well. Bye for now. And Peak Performance Secrets continues tomorrow, 1 p.m. East African time. Tell a friend who knows a friend to tell a friend. Bye for now.